Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I wasn't looking for trouble that morning. I was in my kitchen, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, half awake and scrolling without thinking. Then I saw Jenny's name at the top of my screen. She had posted a new set of photos. The first image was a lake, smooth and still, with a wooden deck stretching over the water. The next showed a table set for two, candles, wine. Then came the one that made everything stop. Jenny stood in front of a glass railing, wearing a loose white sweater, smiling into the sunset. On her left hand was a ring that was not mine. Bigger, different, emerald cut, sharp edges, bright, impossible to ignore. In the next photo, a man stood beside her. He had one arm around her, the other holding her hand out toward the camera. I didn't know him personally, but I had heard the name once before. Thomas. She had described him as an old friend from college a few months back. Someone who lived far away, someone who didn't matter. The caption under the photos was short. Some surprises change everything. The comments were already full. Congratulations! About time. So happy for you. No one questioned it. No one doubted it. They all believed exactly what it looked like. Jenny had told me she was staying with her cousin that weekend, helping with recovery after surgery. She had kissed me goodbye Friday morning, told me she loved me, promised to call before bed. Now I was looking at proof that none of it had been true. I opened the location tag, a private lakeside cabin 2 hours north. I checked the timestamps, posted less than 10 minutes ago. I watched the short video attached at the end. Thomas was on one knee. Jenny covered her mouth, then nodded, then laughed while he slid the ring on her finger. I set my coffee down, took screenshots, saved the video, captured the comments, the tag, the time, every detail. No anger, no shaking hands, no long thoughts. I locked my phone, stood in silence for a moment, and said out loud to no one, "All right, Jenny, let's finish this properly." I didn't call Jenny. I didn't comment on her post. I didn't ask anyone what it meant. The answer had already been handed to me in clean pictures and a 30-second video. Words wouldn't change that. I opened my laptop and pulled up the folder labeled October. Inside were contracts, invoices, schedules, names, phone numbers, everything tied to the future she had just traded for a weekend by a lake. I started with the venue. "Good morning, this is Howard Bennett. I'm calling to cancel our wedding reservation for October 12th. There was a pause. "May I ask the reason, sir?" "My fiancée accepted another man's proposal this morning. It's posted online. You can release the date." Silence again. Then a soft, "I'm sorry to hear that. I'll send confirmation shortly." I hung up and moved down the list. Photographer, decorator, caterer, musician, hotel coordinator. Each call was the same. Short, direct, final. No explanations beyond the truth. By the time I finished the last one, an hour had passed and my coffee had gone cold. Then I opened a new message and typed an address I had memorized. Diana, Jenny's mother. I attached 2 screenshots and the video link. I didn't write a single word. I hit send and closed the laptop. My phone rang 3 minutes later. "Howard?" Diana's voice was sharp, breathless. "What is this? Why am I seeing pictures of my daughter wearing another ring on my screen?" "It's what she posted this morning." "There has to be an explanation. You shouldn't be canceling anything until we talk to her." "Inconvenience is already handled. The wedding is canceled." Her voice broke. "You canceled the church too? Without speaking to Charles first?" "I was the groom. I don't need permission to end my own wedding." Charles's voice came through in the background, low and angry. "You're acting fast for a misunderstanding. She spent the weekend with another man, Charles. The video speaks for itself." Diana started crying. "Do you have any idea how this will look? People are already calling." "I didn't post it. Jenny did." There was nothing else to add. I ended the call. Within minutes, messages began stacking on my screen. Cousins, bridesmaids, friends I barely remembered meeting. I turned the phone face down and watched it go silent, one vibration after another. For the first time since I saw her post, I felt something move in my chest. Not pain, relief. Everything was finally clear. It was nearly midnight when I heard the pounding on my door. Not a polite knock, not a doorbell. A hard, frantic beat that told me exactly who it had to be. I didn't rush to answer. I walked slowly across the living room and looked through the peephole. Jenny stood on the other side, hair pulled back in a messy twist, face bare, eyes wide. Her hands trembled as she knocked again. "Howard, open the door, please." I unlocked it and stepped back. She walked in without waiting for permission. Her eyes scanned the room like she had lost something inside it. "You canceled everything," she said, breathless. "My parents are losing their minds. The wedding planner called me at work. The church sent a notice. What did you do?" "I ended an engagement that no longer exists." "You didn't even talk to me first." "You talked to the internet first." Her jaw tightened. She looked away, then back at me. "It's not what you think." "Then explain the ring." It was a moment. A stupid moment. I didn't plan it. He surprised me. "You said you were with your cousin." I panicked. I didn't know how to tell you that I ran into him. I didn't know what to do. "You could have told the truth." She laughed once, nervous. "You make it sound easy. You wouldn't have understood. I was confused." "Confused enough to let him kneel in front of you and slide a ring on your finger?" Her face dropped. "It wasn't supposed to go online. Thomas posted it before I could ask him not to. So this only became a problem when the world saw it." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is you standing here pretending this is small." She stepped closer. "I was going to talk to you. I needed time to think. I didn't want to lose you before I knew what I felt." "You wanted to keep me as an option." Her lips parted, but no words came out. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "We've been talking for a while." "How long, Jenny?" "Since late spring." I nodded once. "So while we were meeting vendors, tasting cake, picking a guest list, you were catching up with another man." "It wasn't serious at first. And then? And then it got complicated. It got engaged." Tears slid down her cheeks. "I didn't choose him. I haven't chosen anyone." "You already did," I said. "You chose the moment you lied to me." I walked to the table by the door. "You can leave." She stared at it. "You're really doing this?" "Yes." "This is an overreaction," she said. "You're throwing away everything." "No," I replied. "I'm just not pretending it's still real." I opened the door. "Goodbye, Jenny." She stood there a second longer, then turned and walked out. I locked the door behind her and leaned my forehead against the wood. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument, and somehow it felt clean. The reactions started the next morning. My email was full before I even poured another cup of coffee. Messages from the venue manager, the wedding coordinator, the florist, even the hotel where our guests were supposed to stay. Most of them were straightforward confirmations. A few were hesitant. Then the church called. "Howard, this is Pastor Reynolds," he said, voice gentle but strained. "I received your cancellation request. Jenny's parents contacted me as well. They're asking me to delay final action for now." "She got engaged to another man," I said. "There is nothing to delay." "I understand," he replied carefully. "But her family has been part of our church for many years. They've contributed greatly. They are hopeful this can be discussed in counseling before we proceed." "And if I don't want counseling?" There was a pause. "I'm asking you to consider one meeting, out of respect." Respect left the moment she put on someone else's ring. He sighed. "Please understand my position." "I understand it perfectly, and I'll be speaking with a lawyer today." We ended the call. I dialed my cousin Kevin on the way out the door. "She can't unilaterally reverse a cancellation in your name," he said. "Send formal written notice, certified, email copies. Make it clear you are withdrawing from all agreements." "I want it clean." "Then that's exactly how we'll make it." By lunchtime, Kevin had drafted the letters, and I signed every one of them. While that was happening, my phone kept lighting up. Bridesmaids, friends, people who weren't my friends at all. "You're humiliating her. You should have handled this privately. Real men fight for love." I didn't answer any of it. I posted once, on my own page. "My fiancé accepted another man's proposal while engaged to me. I've canceled the wedding. No abuse, no drama, just facts." I added one screenshot. Just one. Enough. The tone shifted immediately. Messages stopped. Some were deleted. Accounts went quiet. Through mutual contacts, I heard what was happening on her side. Jenny hadn't shown up to work. She locked herself in her parents' guest room. Friends who had defended her stopped answering her calls when the truth spread. Some of them avoided her completely. For the first time, the story wasn't being controlled by her charm or her tears. It was being controlled by the truth. and all I had done was let it stand. That night, I sat in the same silence as the one before. Only this time, it felt different. It felt like protection. The call came that Thursday evening just as I was finishing dinner. I didn't recognize the number. I almost ignored it. Then something in me said to answer. "Is this Howard?" a man asked. "Yes, this is Thomas." There it was. The name that had been a stranger. Then a photo. Then a problem. Now a voice. "I just found out Jenny was engaged to you," he said. His tone wasn't aggressive. It was stunned. "She told me you were her ex, that you and her were over months ago." "She was still wearing my ring last week," I replied. There was a long silence. "She said she left you because you were controlling," he continued, "that you didn't support her. She said she needed someone who understood her. She told me you were just an old friend she ran into by accident." A quiet, bitter laugh came through the phone. "That's impressive. She's been telling me she was falling in love with me for 3 months." "3 months?" I repeated. "Since early summer. We met for coffee first, then dinners, weekends. She said she was finally free." He paused. "She never once said another man was still planning a wedding with her." My hand tightened around the phone. "She also never mentioned any debt to me. Did she tell you about that?" "30,000, he said. "Credit cards. She said you left her with it and wouldn't help." "That's a lie, too. Every account is in her name. I didn't even know it existed." "Same story, different villain," he muttered. We both went quiet for a moment. Two men connected by one person's deception, both stuck dealing with the wreckage. "So you proposed?" I asked. "Yes. I thought I was starting a life with someone honest." His voice dropped. "Now I just feel stupid." "You're not," I said. "You were given a script and played your part. Same as me." "She tried calling me all day when she found out you canceled everything. I didn't answer." I didn't answer either. "I'm done, Howard. She doesn't get another conversation, another explanation, another excuse. I thought you should know that much at least." "I appreciate it." A heavy breath left his chest. "I hope you find better than this." "You too." The call ended. I placed the phone on the table and stared at it for a moment. This wasn't confusion. This was design. Jenny hadn't been torn between two paths. She had been building two lives and hoping neither one would notice the other. Now, both had collapsed, and she was standing in the middle of the wreckage, with no one left to blame. The weeks that followed were quiet on my end and chaotic on hers. I heard things through other people, not gossip, just unavoidable facts. Jenny had moved back into her parents' house. She stopped going into the office entirely at first, then tried returning for half days before calling in sick again. Her supervisor, tired of the drama, finally told her not to come back until she was stable enough to focus. Her world had shifted in a way she wasn't prepared for. Diana called me again one afternoon, her voice softer this time. "She's in therapy now. The doctor started her on medication. She isn't sleeping, Howard. She barely eats." "I'm sorry she's struggling," I said. "But that doesn't change what she did. She knows she destroyed everything. She cries all the time, asking how she could be so stupid. That doesn't make it undone." A few days later, Charles asked to meet me in person. We sat in a coffee shop near his office. He looked older than I remembered. "We can pay for all of it," he said quietly. "The full wedding, the venue, the food, the music, even the honeymoon. You won't spend a cent." "I don't want a free wedding," I replied. "I wanted an honest one." "She made a terrible mistake." "She made many," I said. "Every lie she told, every time she smiled at me while planning something else." He lowered his eyes. "If you walk away, her name will be ruined. She already ruined it. I'm just not helping cover it up." That conversation ended without resolution. 2 weeks later, a padded envelope arrived in my mailbox. No sender address, just my name, written in handwriting I knew too well. Inside was the ring I had given her, along with a small folded note. "You didn't lose me. I lost you. I wanted more than I deserved. I'm sorry." I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel the urge to answer. I held the ring for a moment, then placed it back in the envelope and set it on the table. The apology arrived too late. Trust had already left the room. I didn't keep the ring. The next morning, I walked into a jewelry shop downtown and placed it on the glass counter. The owner examined it under a bright lamp. nodded once, and named a fair price. I accepted without trying to negotiate. I wasn't interested in squeezing value out of a memory. A week later, I used that money to put a down payment on a smaller apartment across town. No shared walls with the past, no memories attached to the floors or doorways, just a clean space with white walls and quiet nights. I packed my things in 2 trips. There wasn't much to sort through once everything connected to Jenny was removed. Photos, invitations, fabric samples, guest lists, all of it went into a single box that I left by the dumpster on my way out. What remained was simple: clothes, books, my desk, my name on a new lease. One evening, as I was loading grocery bags into my car, someone called out to me, "Howard?" It was her brother, Michael. He looked unsure, like he didn't know whether he was welcome. "Hey," he said, "I just wanted to say, I don't blame you for anything. What Jenny did was wrong. I told her that. I've told my parents too. I appreciate you saying that. She's still at home. Therapy twice a week. No job right now. She doesn't really go out anymore." He hesitated. "Our family stopped going to the old church. People wouldn't stop staring. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of it." "You didn't do this," he said. "She did." We stood in silence for a moment, then shook hands and went our separate ways. Later that night, I sat on the balcony of my new place. I thought about that morning weeks ago, the way an ordinary scroll had cracked open the truth. I thought about the life I almost walked into. Jenny thought she had 2 futures waiting. She ended up with none of them. I thought I lost everything in one moment. In reality, I only lost the lie. And in its place, something quieter moved in. Clarity. That was the real engagement I walked away with. 2 months later, I walked past the same cafe where Jenny and I used to sit on Sunday mornings, planning guest lists and arguing over napkin colors. The outside tables were full. New faces, new laughter, no memory of what had almost happened there. It struck me how small that old future felt now. I stepped inside, ordered black coffee, and sat alone by the window. The exact spot where she once squeezed my hand and said, "I can't wait to be your wife." I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel grief. Just distance, like looking at someone else's life through glass. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "It's Jenny. I won't bother you again. I just need to say this once. I'm not in denial anymore. I'm not pretending. I ruined my own life because I wanted more, and I didn't appreciate what I already had. I am not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just needed you to know I finally understand." For a long moment, I stared at the screen. Then I typed one sentence. "I hope you learn to live honestly. That's all that matters now." I pressed send and locked the phone. That was the last communication between us. Later that week, I signed a new contract, a consulting project I'd wanted for years but never pursued because my focus had been weddings, venues, compromises. I shook hands with a new client, sat in the office, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. Not the reckless kind, the quiet kind. The kind that comes when you no longer have to doubt the person sitting across from you or worry about hidden messages, fake smiles, or secret weekends. The kind that comes when the truth finally settles. On a Saturday morning, just like the one that started it all, I stood on my balcony with coffee in my hand. The city below moved on, indifferent to the drama it had witnessed. I opened my phone. I didn't check her page. I didn't search her name. Instead, I added a reminder to my calendar, a simple note for the future. Only choose someone who chooses you first. Then I closed my phone and let the past stay exactly where it belonged, behind me. Thank you for watching.